Keir Starmer announces a ban on social media for under 16s in the UK. Yeah, it wasn't enough for Starmer to be hated by all the adults of the UK. He also wants the kids to hate him as well. For a man who talks a lot about division, he's really bringing us together. So what does this mean? Well, apparently all the use that they use are apps where people create and share content like TikTok, Instagram, Snapchat, YouTube, X, Facebook will be banned for everyone under the age of 16. It says here YouTube Kids will still be exempt. So to all the parents who let their kids sit on iPads for hours and hours and hours, creating this addiction in the first place, by the way, that's still going to be fine. It's the content where they can actually learn stuff. That's actually where we're going to ban it. So under 16s will be banned from live streaming and messaging people. 16 to 17-year-olds will face nightly social media curfews and limits on how much they can scroll. Wow. They can have a baby, join the army, buy cigarettes, give themselves cancer, ride a moped up the fucking motorway, but that's enough scrolling on X for you for one night. And there's a little bit of small print at the bottom here where it says adults can still access social media through age checks like facial recognition, digital IDs, passports and credit cards. Oh, well, that's lovely then. Thanks for letting us still be on the internet. Appreciate it. Thank you, my overlord. Yeah, we'll get into what that really means later on in the video, but let's hear what old Keir had to say on the matter.
Social media is making children unhappy. It's making it easier for bullies to harass and abuse them. And it could even be harming their mental health. It stops children doing their homework, reading, playing with their friends outside, going to bed at a decent hour. I think back to my own childhood. And yes, the early 1970s weren't always a picnic. But we didn't have to deal with anything like this. I feel for parents too. I mean, as a parent, you always want to make the right choice for your child, which can face a little resistance in the teenage years, believe you me. But parents do just want to do the best for their kids. In a way, that's what being a parent means. But in this world, with this technology, it is hard as a parent to know what to do.
And that's where you step in, I guess. Because parents aren't being allowed to parent. They're getting the decision made for them by the government. And while I agree, children need protected, there's a lot he said there that I take a massive issue with. And I think it's very clever that this is all under the guise of Uncle Keir just cares so much about the kids. Of course you do. This is the same man who instructed his entire government to vote against an inquiry into why thousands of young British girls were raped. But he just cares so fucking much. He just fucking can't help himself, can he?
Social media is making children unhappy.
So's getting stabbed and being abused, but you don't seem to give two fucks about that shit. And he's saying things like, well, remember back in my day when we used to go out and play all the time, like if we stop them being on the internet, they're just going to be able to go out and play. And it's like, parents didn't have to worry back then that their kid was going to get shanked, mate. Knife crime is through the fucking roof these days. That's part of the problem. Parents are actually looking at their kids knowing that being on the internet all day isn't good for them, but thinking, at least I can see them, at least they're safe, at least they're not out there, and I don't have to worry about them getting stabbed. That's the world that you lot and the fucking Tories before you have created. Even when I was a kid, bad things happened, but it was very rare. I never seen a knife as a kid. Now for parents to let their kids go out and not have to worry about where they are, what they're doing, it's unheard of. We're living in a dangerous society, and instead of fixing that issue, we're taking away what little entertainment they've got to occupy themselves while they're scared to go out. I've seen young people say, I'm scared to go to the fucking shops because there's a fucking gang with knives hanging outside the shop. This has become normality now. But let's worry about the internet. Fucking mental. Don't get me wrong, we should worry about everything that the kids are, absorbing. I'm not taking anything away from that, but come on. We got bigger problems is what I'm trying to say. People are dying and they don't give a fuck about that because they've created that situation, so they can't acknowledge that. Now, this Lib Dem MP has actually uploaded a video of her explaining to her little kid about them being banned from the internet.
YouTube can be good.
Yeah, it is good.
Not all the time.
And I don't know why you're banning it. Sometimes watching or playing is kind of how I relax.
Do you know how many mummies and daddies wrote to your mummy to say that they wanted to get YouTube and all of the other platforms banned for children like you? Hundreds.
Newsflash, parents. You can ban YouTube by just taking the fucking iPad off your kid and saying no. How about that? Did anyone think of that, like? Being a parent is partly doing parenting. Funny old thing. Setting boundaries, guidelines, rules. Ever thought of that? Because you can't tell your kid when they're not allowed something, you know. Just a thought, like.
Why did you make it ban YouTube?
Because I want to keep all of the children safe online.
It's just hard.
I know, baby.
I don't even know who this government guy is.
Keir Starmer.
This performative nature of this video from this weird woman who is literally letting her child cry before uploading it online. Also not comforting your child while she's crying. Weird. And she's described this as a tricky conversation this evening about the impending social media ban. Tricky? Really? I mean, you're the adult, you're the parent, she's the child. You're a fucking MP. If this is tricky, then bloody hell, what you doing making decisions for us lot? And if your child's crying like that over not being able to watch, you know, YouTube anymore, well then clearly it's been watching a hell of a lot of YouTube. Maybe you should have taken it on yourself to make sure that it doesn't get out of hand for your own child. But instead, it's like, let's crack a nut with a cannon and blow the whole fucking room up so that no one can use this at all for these young people. Seems a bit of a blanket extreme fucking solution to me. And don't get me wrong, I agree to some extent that like things like messaging apps, should kids be on there? Probably not. But it can be very nuanced, this. It isn't just a one size fits all solution in my opinion. When I was a young lad, some of the best learning experiences of my life were on YouTube. I learned more in a matter of months on YouTube than I did from years in school. And taking this away from young people, it could have a massive impact. I looked into the data and I'm not going to rattle a load of numbers off to you because literally it's overwhelmingly positive that YouTube helps young people learn. And I'm talking about for school, not just like cool shit like conspiracy theories like what I was learning about. I watched a 9/11 documentary when I was about 15 or whatever and it just blew my mind. I'll read one parent survey that said 89% of their child's grades got better using online education videos from YouTube. And yes, kids can watch other crap and they can stay up late and they can not go to bed on time or they can do that instead of doing the homework. Do you know what we can do? Get parents to actually fucking parent instead of removing the whole thing. Keep an eye on your kid. If they're watching crap, say enough of that, I'm taking the iPad off you or whatever. It's bedtime, light off, done. What happened to fucking parenting? Like, fucking hell. But apparently, we all on parents because the parent is the government. They tell us everything. Do you want to tell us what time dinner time is as well, like? And this got me thinking about, like, well, where will young people get their information from now? Because obviously there's a political awakening going on online. And is this in some way connected? And I've seen this clip. I'll play it to you.
If social media is banned, how are these young people going to find out what they think?
I think that there's lots of different ways that we can approach young people. It will be through school, as you say, through family, friends, the traditional media, such as ITV and the other broadcasters and news and print journalism as well. I think we have a really respected, objective third estate, if you like, the print and broadcast media here that is trusted and a trusted source of information. So I think there'll be lots of ways for young people, for everybody actually, to take an objective and fair approach to how they vote.
So they can vote at 16. So the only thing we're going to allow them to say up until that point is what the government want them to see. This really reminds me of Harry Potter, where this Umbridge, this woman, do you remember this? She doesn't want them learning like other stuff, only what the school curriculum teaches you, and that's all you're allowed to know, because we're keeping them dumb. We don't want them learning shit that's going to make them more advanced than what we want them to be. And when you think about how much we've learned about just how often we are lied to by the newspapers, by the BBC, by the government on a daily basis, we are being bombarded with false narratives over and over and over again. It makes complete sense why they wouldn't want kids to be able to fucking be streetwise earlier in life. Because maybe if you get switched on earlier, you may become rebellious, maybe more likely to enact change and be slick to the system quicker. And again, I'm not discounting that children shouldn't be on messaging apps and put at risk where people can contact them, strangers. I agree with all that. I just find it ironic that this government that shut down schools schools for so long, just a few years ago now. Banned kids from meeting up with their friends. Kids who ordinarily would have been able to meet up through sports and social meetings and parties and all of that stopped. They didn't give a fuck under the guise of we're at risk, which we now know was bollocks, by the way. We never talk about that anymore, but it was bollocks. Those young people were not at risk, let's be real here. But what they did end up with, because of that, was massive rises in depression. Anxiety went up. Eating disorders went up. Everything went to shit. They didn't give a fuck about the kids. But now, well, fucking hell, we got to look after the kids. That generation of kids, their mental health was fucking destroyed. And we know they don't give a shit about kids. Like, if this government cared about kids, obviously they wouldn't have voted against the grooming gang inquiry for a kickoff. But look at the way they treat, child sex offences. In 23-24, only 44% of people convicted of child sex offences got any jail time at all. Can we actually wrap our heads around that? We're letting them go free. And even when we do give them jail time, it's 2 minutes for what they're doing. I think we can all agree, when it comes to kids, that should be the most severe punishments possible. And yet, it's get yourself away, you little scamp. I was reading up multiple Labour councillors, by the way, multiple in the last couple of years have been caught doing this shit. One was trying to send messages to a 13-year-old girl. It was a copper, luckily. He pled guilty and he didn't get any jail time. Another one was caught with 500 indecent images of kids and he got a suspended sentence, no jail time. 1 in every 3 people convicted of child sex offences in this country get no jail time. We're talking about we care about kids in this country. Do me a fucking favour. Most custodial sentences, from what I've read up on, get 2 to 6 years, man. Is that setting a precedent? Like, you better not touch kids in this society, otherwise we'll come down hard on you. Is it? Fuck, man. You're ruining people's lives. You can walk free that very day and get, even if you're guilty, nothing. So don't anyone tell me this has got anything to do with protecting kids, because as I'll go into further detail, it's got fuck all to do with that. They don't give a fuck about kids. Starmer, if we ban the internet, it'll make it be like what it was like in my day. Unless you've got a fucking time machine, mate, I'm afraid not. Because the reality is, it isn't a ban for kids. It's a ban for everyone until you prove you're not a kid. Meaning you have to submit things to show who you are. You get the picture now? This age thing is just a Trojan horse to get us to go along with the shit, because we're all compassionate and they play on that compassion of we got to look after the kids. Of course, when I first heard it, I was like, yeah, I get that. Of course we want to look after the kids, man. And he's using the kids thing to gain compliance with a system that will impact every single one of us. Because you're having to submit your ID, they then know who the fuck you are, what you're on, what you're posting. It's digital ID, but through stealth. And that's the thing we've been trying not to have, because we know what these fuckers are about. So they've gone, do you want digital ID? We're going, fuck no. Okay, well, we want to ban under 16s from having access to the internet for their own safety by using digital ID on everyone. Oh, well, if it's for the kids, we'll have to do it then, won't we? That's what's happening here. They're selling digital ID and mass surveillance as though it's about protecting kids, when it's really about tracking everyone. There'll be face scans, there'll be digital ID, there'll be all of that shit in order for us to just access the internet. Imagine we're having to ask permission and give over such information just to have something that should be a right for everyone. There's no doubt in my mind that there are far easier ways to protect children than this. This is just the sales pitch to push through something that they've been trying to figure out, how do we do this for years. This situation makes it so much easier to monitor what people are saying online and to punish them. If you think about it right now, people are more politically outspoken than ever. If they say something, they get banned or whatever, they could just create a new account. It's very hard to pin people down and to stop them from speaking out. But with mandatory verification in place, one click of a button and we can lock you out of every single platform you have indefinitely. And there's no more new accounts, because that one verification had access to all of them. You can't create a new one. This isn't about protecting kids. It's about building a prison that they're going to grow up in and that they're going to be used to. And I think about the situation of the curfew, for example, where young people, not only are they growing up being told, right, we're not allowed on social media because the government say we're not allowed on, but then also when we are allowed on it, they tell us how long, what time you have to come off. From an early age, it's being normalized to these kids that the state tell you what you can and can't do in your own private fucking personal time. And if you think that isn't conditioning on some level, it fucking right it is. It's telling them government interference in your everyday life is normal. Just get used to it. Instead of letting parents parent their kids and kids learning to be independent, learning responsibility or whatever, it's telling everyone in this situation, we know best. We'll tell you what you're allowed to do. And it's treating everyone like kids. And it's funny, I remember David Icke telling me years ago, the government don't just go from A to Z overnight, because if they did, there'd be hell on. We would realize this is not normal. This is mental. They'd all kick off. So what they do is they take it one step at a time and they just edge closer, taking away little by little, freedom by freedom, piece by piece, all telling you this is for your own good. This is for your own good. So that you don't really notice what's going on until it's too late and you look back and you go, how the fuck did we get from here to here? Because 20 years to us is a long time. But what they can do in that 20 years and what they can take away from you is amazing. We could be in a situation where this digital ID system is connected to everything, social media, bank accounts, the lot. And if you do something that they don't like, one click of a button, you're frozen out of everything. You can't buy food with your card because everything's bank cards by then. There's no fucking cash left. We're heading that way anyway. All of your social media is closed down, boom, gone. Maybe that affects your ability to work because everything's digital these days. And when we look at the history of Keir Starmer specifically, he's arrested more people for social media posts than any other world leader. He is more likely to do stuff like that by his own track record. And that's why he hates people like Elon Musk, because he allows people freedom of speech, and they repeatedly community note this guy and show that he's fucking lying all the fucking time. I'd hate freedom of speech too if I was trying to lie and make sure no one fucking knew about it. And you look at all of the videos that we're seeing published on platforms like X, which is awakening people to the reality of the society that we're living in. They don't want people saying those. I'm seeing more and more talk of censorship and shit like that. We don't want young people saying those and being awake to what the fuck is going on. And it's classic blame the platforms for showing the problem rather than actually fixing the problem. Classic government misdirection. And if you're already arresting people and branding them far right for dissent online and locking people up for years on end, having a tool that enables you to completely log them out of the internet and never let them back in, it's a dream for them. All the biggest voices who are a thorn in the arse of Keir Starmer would be silenced quick time. So as much as I completely support protecting kids, and I think that is something we should have a conversation about that's nuanced, and rather than a blanket fix that really doesn't, in my opinion, it makes just as many problems as it fixes. This ain't about kids, it's about power and control. The same thing it always is with Keir Starmer. And I have to admit, it's clever. The way they've packaged this up, they've really thought about how do we get this closer? How do we further that agenda from the powers above Keir Starmer, in my opinion? And they always go for compassion. The same way they label people who have a problem with, mass immigration as uncompassionate, racist, all of that. You're the evil ones. Now, if you go against this, you don't care about kids. You're a bad person. Demonize them. It's fucking clever. It's genius. And the smart ones who see through it will be branded the bad guys. And also, I do think there's a lazy level of parenting where people just can't be bothered to look after their kids. So they're like, well, this saves it. If they're all off it, then that means that there's one rule for all of them. And I do get that, but I think YouTube in particular, it offers so much to young people to educate them that just banning everything, it's such a huge mistake. And again, this should in no way impact people who are over the age of 16. And yet it is going to impact us all. And that is because of what they want to gain from it. So look, I hope this doesn't come across like I don't care about kids, because I absolutely do. And I do understand the logic in some degrees and why people want to go along with stuff like this. But I just simply don't think we should be taking away people's freedoms in order to do this. And that's what we're going to be doing. And the long-term implications could be disastrous. And it's one of them where we might all look back and go, fuck, I wish we seen this coming when they started with this shit and we didn't just let our heartstrings be pulled on, because that's what they're doing. Anyway, let me know what you think in the comments below. Big love to everyone supporting the channel. Hit the like button, subscribe. I'll see you on the next one.